Warning, this video contains spoilers to two movies, Big Trouble in Little China and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. If you haven't seen either of those and you're concerned about the plot being spoiled, go watch them on Netflix. They're both really good. I had a lot of fun watching them. Good evening, friends. Mad Matt Wankel here with another episode of Matt's RPG Discussion. Today I'm going to do something that I've wanted to do for a while on a couple of movies that came out in theaters last summer. But I'm not going to do those movies. What it is every once in a while, I'll watch a movie and I'll think to myself, man, that feels like role-playing. Or that's something that I can use as a DM. And I watch a lot of movies, and so there's always a good chance that I have something that I can use to make a video when I'm out of ideas. No, I'm not completely out of ideas, but I felt like doing this today. Today I got to watch two classic movies that I haven't seen for a while. And so for each of these, I've got 5-ish bullet points on just things that we can use, things that we can learn, and play Dungeons and Dragons, or whatever RPG of your choice better. So, here we go. The first movie was Big Trouble in Little China. It used to be one of my favorite movies. I would watch it again and again, though honestly, I couldn't remember pretty much anything that happened. But it was a lot of fun to watch, because it was like a pure, I don't know if it was 80s or 90s, but it was pure bravado, and it was a lot of fun. It was exactly what I would want in just an action movie where a, know-it-all trucker goes and helps save Chinatown. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is what I said before, bravado. The main character's, how he was role-played, or how they played the role, was a very bravado character. I'm not sure if there's a different verb or adjective that you would want there, but he always assumed that he was going to be the best at whatever he did, and even when he was going up against people who had like magical powers and stuff, he still went and punched them in the face, and if it didn't do anything, he tried it again. And he would tell his friends all of these stories, and he would quote himself. And that was a very fun thing to do. And if you're looking for a character who's just really, really full of itself, you should check out this movie. And check out what Jake Burton, check out what his character does. The second point is going to be the magic hand wave. When you have a character who doesn't know the science or doesn't know the technical aspects of the magic, you can just have one kind of like weird, creepy old guy who's just able to suddenly do magic, and he like throws potions at people, and he casts spells, and he does all these type of things, and you don't have to do anything about explaining how he's able to do this or what it's doing. You just have to have him say something along the lines of ancient Chinese martial art or something like that, and it's accepted because the main character has no clue what's going on anyway. And the fact that this guy might be making up magic doesn't matter to him either. The third thing is, I have it written down on my sheet as, meanwhile, at the Hall of Exposition. And it's an interesting technique, and I might use it the next time that I DM. I'm not sure. I don't know when it would come into play. But pretty much, you have the characters that are going and they're storming the castle over there. And while they're over there, while they open up a door to the room, to look inside of the throne room or something, you say something along the lines of, meanwhile, back at the Hall of Exposition, and the camera would, in the movie, a camera would jump back to the characters that were left behind, and the audience would learn some really, really important stuff about the fight that's going to happen, or about the characters, or something like that. And so this is a way to give metagame knowledge to your players. If you know that your big bad evil boss is weak against fire, you jump back to meanwhile at the Hall of Exposition, and you have some old granny tell a story about how this one guy was only defeated by fire. And then the players have that knowledge kind of like in their brains, or they can just use it instead of having to make checks and break the immersion of making a check. They can use the fact that their characters would know that story and be able to use fire. I don't know. That's just kind of a weak example. But it's an interesting thing to jump to another part of the story away from the player characters and tell the actual players things. The fourth thing is actually broken up into two pits, and it's two story ideas that I came up with while watching it. The first thing at the beginning is there's a large funeral procession going through town. And the thing that I thought of was that it was a decoy funeral, that there was actually like another funeral procession going on the other side of town to make sure this, this old guy is buried right without like demons being summoned or anything like that. So the very obvious one gets shot up by the bad guys instead of like the actual one. The second piece is towards the end, towards the big climactic fight. The good guys were given this potion by their Gandalf, and they were told that would make them be able to do things like in a dream, where they would be able to see things differently and be able to win as opposed to lose against these big powerful sorcerer guys. And I think that would be an interesting concept, to have the players be in a fight and not realize they're in a dream until you keep having one person making like insight checks or perception checks, and they pick up on the fact that they're in a dream, and you start slipping notes back and forth to him, and he's able to actually like shape the reality because he's finally awake, and he's able to start doing lucid dreaming while everyone else is still trapped in the shared dream. So I thought that would be a cool thing. We'll save the fifth one for just a minute here and go on to the second movie, and that second movie was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Another really fun one. I found both of these on Netflix, and I didn't know they were on there, or didn't actively know they were on there. So yeah, you could totally get on Netflix and check them out. The first thing is that Roger Rabbit can't help but play his alignment, and that's not entirely true. But in this movie world, cartoons have this. The cartoon characters have these rules that make up their being. They have to make people laugh. They can do anything as long as it's funny. And when you had the judge come in, he was able to bring Roger Rabbit out by going up on walls and tapping shave and a haircut. And finally Roger Rabbit just broke because he had to finish the 2 bits. And it was just ingrained in his character that there was no way that he couldn't finish that. And that's a really, really interesting thing because, jumping back into a D&D system, if you have the evil character and the lawful good character is hiding in like a secret room somewhere, and you have the evil character knows that the good guy is out there, you go up and you know that the lawful good character has things against torture or mistreating of women or something, and you go up to like some, I don't know, barmaid, and you start like putting a knife to her skin. If a character's player's playing his character correctly, a lawful good character won't let that happen, and he'd like bust out of the wall and blow his cover to save somebody else's life, even if it's somebody he doesn't know. And that would be playing the character's alignment, playing the character, and I think that that's the best way to do it. And so keep that in mind. Things that your character's alignment is, or are, I'm not sure exactly how I want to conjugate that verb, but those things aren't ingrained in your character. Your character should be predictable enough that when somebody, when somebody provides a direction for him to jump, he should be jumping there before he thinks about whether or not it's right in the metagame. A lot of this movie was about intrigue, and I do love a good intrigue. So, but I find it really, really hard to run a D&D campaign. So that's what these next little bits are. The second piece of tipful advice is there's always a bigger plan. Everybody was entirely satisfied when they saw Roger Rabbit was the murderer because that made sense. Toon just lost his wife. Everybody understands that he would go crazy and could do such a thing. Except the people who knew him, and they found it very bad. But everyone else saw it fine. And it was only when they started investigating that they turned up more and more evidence. And each step that they did, they thought they knew what was going on. But then, as they were investigating, or as they were running, or whatever they were doing, they learned a new piece. If you knew that the judge was an evil cartoon from the beginning, well, then we would have jumped straight to him instead of doing all these layers of intrigue to get up to the higher layer. I'm making gestures with my hands, but because of how my camera is, you guys can't see it, so I'm sorry. But I'm doing like a step up type thing. I want to get a better camera for this, but I haven't yet. And third, make innocent parties look as guilty as possible. There's this great scene when the maroon guy, the cartoon director, producer, whatever he is, gets shot. This gun like appears out of the shadows from behind and shoots him. The hero jumps out of the way, but it kills the guy who was in on the plot and who was like revealing what was going on. Then, when the hero goes to the window and looks out, instead of seeing the actual person who had done the shooting, he saw the love interest, the hot female chick. And so he instantly assumes that she was behind it. And that also made kind of a sense, that she had some stake in what was going on. And it allowed them to develop their characters a little bit more and keep that intrigue flowing. Fourth, intrigue and framing type plots work best when the party values life over death. If you're, it would be hard in a D&D campaign to have an ogre claiming his innocence when the party just kills ogres and they don't think about it. But if you have a party where each life is precious and they like knock people out instead of killing them, if they're good guys and they don't instantly kill people, then you can start getting to layers of intrigue that other people can't get to, that the murderous parties can't get to. Because, when it's easier to just kill them all and, maybe one of them was the culprits, that's not a great way to build intrigue. And yeah, framing people doesn't work in a system like that. Okay, the fifth element for both stories that I saw is story points. These are being stolen from the Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space RPG system. I love story points. I need to make them work in D&D. I want this to be a thing that I do. Because as a DM, I hand out temporary hit points in D&D when characters say awesome things or do awesome things. Things that make me laugh, things that make me enjoy playing D&D. I give the character a reward, but my combat doesn't matter anyway, so temporary hit points don't matter. Story points could. So, in Big Trouble in Little China, at the big climactic scene, the main hero, Burton, takes his knife that he's had and killed a couple of people with, and he throws it at the big bad guy. And the big bad guy just, watches it. He doesn't do anything. It just, flies past and lands on the carpet. And Burton's all like... And, the big bad evil guy picks it up and throws it at him, and Burton grabs it out of the air and throws it back, which is an ability they foreshadowed a couple of times. But as a DM looking at it from a gaming perspective, I can see the main character with a story point system. The guy throws the dagger and it's yeah, that's not gonna miss. Or that's not gonna hit, it's not gonna deal any damage, it's over on the side. Can I gain some story points by letting him be able to throw the knife back at me? Well, what do you intend to do with those story points? Well, I've got this high coordination thing. I was thinking that I wanted to get a little bit extra story points as a buffer, and then on his turn he'll throw the knife back and I'll catch it out of the air and throw it back at him. And the DM inside of me would be like, that's awesome, let's make it happen. And, do the rolls to see what happens. But yeah, that's how I saw that scene going down. If you took the movie scene and you broke it up into what would be happening at the table, that's how I saw it. I haven't ran a game in Adventures in Time and Space, so I'm not entirely sure how combat and story points work, but that type of thing, where a character misses and makes it happen badly so that he can get the advantage of being able to catch a dagger and throw it back with a perfect shot. It was great. In Roger Rabbit, the Toons have these abilities where they can do anything provided it's funny, and I like that as an ability. That would be the type of thing that story points would be used for at my table, even in D&D. Because right now as a DM, I let people do things if I think it's really cool. And so recently, one of my campaigns, there was this book that had kind of summoned a kraken, and the character realized that it was because of this book and rewrote the book to make the kraken just go away instead of people having to kill it. And it was a brilliant idea, and I just loved it, and I was going to let it happen. And as soon as I said that I was going to let it happen, I knew my combat was going to suck. But I just thought that it would be really, really great. And it was an awesome solution to the problem, what I hadn't seen. I love it when people come up with solutions to things that I haven't seen. And yeah, it worked out well. I think I could have handled it better though, and I think story points would have helped with that. I love story points. I've fallen in love. I am smitten with them. What do you guys think, people who watch my videos? If you can leave me a comment down below and tell me what you guys think about the story points concept. I would be very, very interested to see what you have to say. And if you've seen these two movies and want to talk about them down below, that's also pretty cool. I had a lot of fun watching them, and I highly recommend that you do too. But other than that, my name is Mammoth1Cow. This has been our RPG discussion, and if you guys stay online, I'll see you next time. Peace out.